It's Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tip of the day. And it is a Monday in mid-February in the land of milk and honey. We are here in Carlsbad. Many of you that follow closely will recognize this project. It's been a year, guys. Can you even stand it? We did have one casualty in this garden, and that was the Mediopicta that we had right where that little Perrii placeholder is. So we're going to move one of the big Mission to Mars mangaves, or maybe they're Aztec King. I can't even tell. But they have grown like crazy. And she's got 3 or 4 really big ones. So one of them will get moved in that spot. But look, I mean, this looks like an after, doesn't it? Our client has done a magnificent job of general maintenance, of snipping and clipping and sorting and moving rock around and just keeping it looking so incredibly dialed in. But there are edits that are going to need to be made, and yes, some of you will find it painful, but this is, I mean, look at how these plants just, they grow like weeds. And you don't know, I kind of know, sort of, pretty much know what's going to work and what's not, but every microclimate is completely and utterly unique. So invariably we have things that do really well and some things that don't do really well. There's some Ruchia in this garden that didn't make it, so that'll come out. The aeoniums, dinner plate aeoniums that we planted, most of those are going to get edited out and moved into the back slope just to make room for some other things. We did really well. I always consider, it's probably going to lose 5% of the plants. It's not uncommon, and we didn't here, so we'll have to make some choices. Like where Hannah is right now, you can see there's a beautiful agave blue glow that's being crowded by a cotyledon, actually 2 cotyledons. So we'll make some decisions about that to air out that blue glow. You can see the Ruchia there. That's Ruchia. In some areas of this garden, we'll show you it's thriving, and then 10 feet away, it's not. So it happens. Another challenging plant is the Euphorbia millii. I'm never sure about those, but in this garden, it would appear as though I see 2. I never work in 2s. So there may have been a 3rd that crapped out at some point, or I'm just missing it. But the 2 that I'm seeing look really good. Up here in this narrow bed, this is an example of where the aeonium, these dinner plate aeoniums, so we might be able to do some editing. I have never seen such happy Mr. Toothies in all my days. These aloes are absolute perfection everywhere we put them in this garden. See, here's a Ruchia that's absolutely thriving.
And then right here to my right.
And then, yeah, to Hannah's right, not so much. So, okay. Here's another giant Mission to Mars mangave that this may be the one we need to move. Because it's going to get a little bigger than this even. And it's, clearly crowding the walkway and crowding my little, or I should say big barrel cactus. So, yeah, here's another Mr. Toothy looking lively. Vambellini is really green. I would love to see that color up, but it's clearly getting too much water and shade. It's just way too happy. That Echeveria gibiflora, stunning, and the superbums are incredible in this garden. Gosh, everything is, right? I mean, everything's doing exactly what you would hope in your wettest dream that it would do. Am I right? Yeah. The sunburst aeoniums, I mean, seriously, look at them.
Yeah, we got to the other side.
And I remember last summer I came by here to look at that Mediopicta, and I treated the Mediopicta. I think it got snout weevil.
Look at this, Mr. Toothy. And then,
oh my gosh, yeah, it's just like this little explosion coming out of the crassulas. But these, in the summer, the sunburst, the aeoniums are dormant, and they did have the scarring on the leaves in the summer, and they didn't look really great. But look at them now. Look at them now. Here's a problem. This aloe striata, something's going on. Look at that. It might have been, oh, I remember this did have aloe mite and we treated it. That's right. I came and treated that. It came out of it. Yeah, it healed. It's so, you know, wow. There's an example of hope. Gosh darn it. Okay, and then over here, I remember Kevin and Mel really went to town planting this out. The bracteata, this is what it does in the wintertime. Loses all of its leaves and flowers. I think I will also edit this and just lace it out so it's not quite so thick. Things like, you know, I mean, things like these rubrotinctum. They're just, you know, you can see how they're kind of leggy here and how they're just kind of misshapen. Even that, I don't know, you know, this looks like it got burnt, this bromeliad. Although ultimately it's in pretty good shape. It's got water in its cup, so we'll probably let that ride. But I'm going to clean this out. I'll probably remove a lot of the cotyledon. Look at that. I mean, this is a filler plant, and boy, has it done its job. And then in here we've got bromeliads mixed in with aloes and crassulas. Oh my gosh, look at this Echeveria harmsii. And these sedums have just gone crazy here, and bromeliads hidden under, there it is. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so these, you can see how these plants are reaching for the light. So they'll be pulled out and reset. You know, I have to think too, I'm here once a year. So things that may look really good right now, I identify, well, in 3 months, 6 months, is it going to look really good? Maybe not. So like these ovatas, this is going to get an edit. And what I might do, since everything is thriving in this garden, is start training some of these crassulas more into more of a bonsai kind of a look. That might be a solution for that. Oh my goodness, it's so stunning. Wow, wow, wow. And then, yeah, these sedums and this cotyledon will likely come out. Then these sedums will get shoved back. In this bed, too, we'll edit a lot of the aeoniums. And, you know, just, I've stopped using a lot of rubrotinctum because this is kind of what it does after a year or so. It's just kind of leggy and scrubby looking. Here's a challenge. The sedum are, you know, again, pulling for the light, encroaching on the sidewalk. Decisions will need to be made about that. This is an absolutely stunning grouping of aeonium right here and crassula. We got a lavender lady here. This little lemon and lime jade is blooming. Oh my gosh. And this, see here, this undulata. I'm so glad Kevin is here on this maintenance too, and I really want him to be, because I want him to see how things have grown, and I think that will influence his planting in the future too. He'll begin to really have an instinctual sense of where to put plants, because when we put this little ungi in, it was about this big. So what needs to happen is we're going to pull this aeonium out, also move out this blue elf, and then shove this ungi back. That's what we'll do there. These will come out and go on the slope in the back. This is another candidate. Another mission to Mars. That one, I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of okay there. Yeah, it's sort of the, you know, it is the money plant in this bed. You can see a little damage here on this leaf. That is cosmetic and was likely sunburn from last year. That's what that is. Remember, don't panic if you see, you know, a little bit of damage on the underleaves of your plants. Be more concerned with how the new growth is shaping up. And if the new growth is unmarred, then you're probably just looking at some environmental cosmetic damage from the past. This thing is, for scale, I mean, it's as big as I am. Isn't that something else? And I know that sunburst aeonium are monocarpic plants, and after they bloom, they die. But man, if you get 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons out of them, I think it is $10.50 well spent. These need to go to the back slope. There's actually, it looks like a striata hybrid back here
And look right.
that's lost. Oh gosh, yeah, and that's a silver fox under there, mangave, that's completely hidden. Oh boy. And then up here with our Dracaena Draco, this is a funny accident. They had a tree here and the husband didn't want it removed. But when the tree guys came to take out some ugly trees on the other side, they got mixed messages and ended up taking out this tree, which I was happy. And, you know, it gave me a place to put my Draco. So this, I'm not really thinking about touching, although I'm not loving that agave over there at all. It looks bad. What is the, do you remember?
We didn't put that in.
We didn't put that in. Yeah, I don't recognize that plant. But I'm not loving it, and I think that would be a phenomenal place for one of those mangaves, huh? Yeah, bam. We need, it's so monochromatic in here and kind of all green. One of those Mission to Mars popped up there would be the thing to do. I'd probably make my money just doing that. And then the Superbum. Holy mother of pearl. These rival the ones in Sunset Cliffs. Look at how gorgeous. It's one of my favorites, and that's why. But you know, it's a little skill and a lot of luck, and we got really lucky. We're going to tear in, and I'll check back in with you guys later. We are getting it done. We've been at it a couple hours now and want to kind of give you some updates. This Echeveria gibiflora hybrid, Colin noticed that it's starting to trunk. And that's not a look that we love. So a decision needs to be made. Do we behead it and reset it as a cutting? Or do we let it ride? And the whole, end game being that we want to extend the life and beauty of this plant for as long as possible. So because it's February and we have months and months and months before the hot weather really hits, we're going to go ahead and behead it and then yank out the root ball and stem and set it back as a cutting. And it is our hope, belief, and experience that the plant will happily reroot with no issue and go on to live its best life in that spot. We limbed up the Alobanzii significantly. This is, we call them freckles because they just haven't bred this out of this plant yet. It gets fungusy when we get a little humidity. This is just life in the fast lane with Alobanzii. Not much really you can do about it. So we just cut a bunch of that off. You can see that there are a few snails here. You can mechanically remove snails by just, doing this, cursing them to the underworld and smashing them between your fingers, or you can put down a chemical. It's up to you. I like Bugetta because it's like a little pellet, so it's not airborne. Remember, I'm only here once a year, so I'm not out here every day managing snails, and I don't want them chewing holes in all of our plants.
Have you seen any snail damage yet?
Yes, I have seen some snail damage, so I don't like that. These Mr. Toothies, there were 3 here, if you will recall, from a few seconds ago earlier in the video. So we edited them. We took 2 of the big heads out, left the 2 babies, and then moved the new heads over to the corner in an area that needed them. And this just looks 100% better right there. Over here, I limbed up the Crassula ovata and took out the Ruchia that was all dead and reset some of those little sedums because they are so happy. Jelly beans, they're called. They're so happy in this garden. So reset a couple of those. Took some Ruchia out of here that was dead, and I'll likely pop some cuttings back in that spot. Sorry, phone call. Over here, I pulled out some more Ruchia that didn't make it or was looking bad. And notice this Echeveria Sahara has got so many adorable little pups around its back. Super cute. I'll figure that area out. I might just rock it, you know, restraint. Then I removed the cotyledon. You can see it right here, so that Blue Glow could breathe. And I edited this cotyledon a bit as well, and I edited the Portulacaria minima. I will most likely not put anything back in there because I don't want the same problem. And can I just give a shout out to this little aloe?
It's one of the bigger ones I've seen.
I know, isn't that so gorgeous? It's one of the Kelly Griffin hybrids that he's developing through Altman Plants, and what a spectacular little number that is. So over here, Kevin has been going to town. Check out how much more dialed in and better this garden looks. And we haven't even started putting anything back in yet. Kevin's just been editing. It looks so good. And now we're at that point where we need to make some decisions. And one decision that I decided to make, can you hand me a shovel, Kevy? Thank you. That I thought you might enjoy watching is, okay, thank you. So we have this striata back here, you know, doing its baby in the corner thing. And then we've got this little lavender lady mangaba or silver fox. I'm not sure. I think it's lavender lady. So what I want to do, we took a millii out of here and some aeonium. And I want to move this striata come here, you. Oh, it's perfect. How pretty. See, okay. So we can clean this up, take off the pups. I mean, you don't have to take off the pups. Pups are fine, but not in this garden. I want to showcase specimens. Not really interested in this plant with a lot of babies on it. So I'll clean all the leaves out. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to trim up some of these roots because I don't want to dig a hole that deep because I'm lazy. So we'll trim some of these up so I don't have to dig as deep. Plant will be fine, promise. You do want to restrict water, you know, if you're going to be this aggressive with a plant. And you won't want to plant it back into full sun if it's hot. These are just some, you know, kind of common sense things. It is going to be stressed now, so we want to protect it. But clearly not an issue here with the sun or the water. I'm going to dig a hole with my handy dandy multi-tool. This ground is really soft because you know us, we mound. So it drains like a sponge. Wait, sponges don't drain, do they? They collect water. What am I trying to say? It drains like a sieve. Yeah, okay. All right, so this little striata is going to go right here. Boop. These gorgeous rocks you're looking at are some of the best looking jasper purple I've ever worked with. Got lucky with that. Okay, so that looks great. Love it. Then I'm going to move this rock, this little piece of rubble out of the way. And I'm going to take this lavender lady, mangave. I'm also want to depup her because I don't want, you know, I just don't want that look right here. Oh boy, she's really in there. I know we also have irrigation right there. Okay, so get behind that. You've got a little knife, right, Kev?
Yes.
May I borrow said tool?
Right there.
Intermission. Oh, okay, so we're going. All right, so I've got an irrigation line right here that I do not want to break. This is really close, so I'm going to take Kevin's handy dandy knife and see if I can loosen it up with that. Gosh, darn it, that thing is...
Do the other way. It's the other side.
Yeah.
No, I mean like right there.
Well, this is where the irrigation line is running.
Oh, above it.
Right there. I don't want to cut through it.
You already did.
The irrigation
Yeah,
line?
you cut through it already.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I didn't cut. That's
That.
a elbow.
Oh, okay.
Ugh. Oh gosh. Okay. Woo. See what you get yourself into when you start messing with these plants. Too much. Okay, so let's take off the pups. And no, guys, we're not going to throw them away. We're going to rehome the pups. This is how they propagate at the nurseries and the growing grounds. So it's just a pruning practice. We are not disrespecting the plant at all. Okay. All right, now this little lady I can tuck back further in the landscape. So she'll have more room to grow. It's always challenging when you're dealing in narrow beds. But that's what maintenance is for. You know, and these plants are so incredibly flexible and forgiving and, you know, almost like plastic where you can just, you know, dig it, rip it out and put it in somewhere else.
I think you should turn it. I think that's the back.
Okay. All right. Oh, pretty. Okay. That is much better. And I will, you know, obviously reset my rocks and, you know, redo this. And when we get done at the end of the day, when I do the final walkthrough, you'll be able to take note of how I polish and finish that up. So yeah, look at this plethora of plants for our client's back slope. Woohoo, right? So beautiful. Always so much to share. So with the help of Hannah, Cullen, Kevin, Greg, we knocked out this maintenance, this once-a-year maintenance, and oh, what a joy it is to come and tend for a garden that's so lovingly maintained all year round by the client. Lila's on it, and she keeps up with the weeds, and she deadheads, and she treats things that need treated, and, you know, does her own little cutting and thinning, and just made our job so much easier. So, you know, I don't know if you can tell a difference from the opening shots that we did, but we took a lot out and moved a tremendous amount around back for her to put in her slope. And I told her, you know, this garden is now a year old, and typically when we come around to do the maintenance, we have a plant or two that just didn't thrive, you know, so we removed them, but things have grown in around it to the extent where we don't really need to do any replacing. But here pretty much everything has thrived. So I'm thinking that the Aeonium kiwis, maybe the sunburst might bloom out sometime this year, in which case I would like to replace them with other things. Because every year in the industry there are new plants that come available on the market. And so as we move forward with this garden and as it starts to evolve, I will bring in a new thing or two new things or three new things. We will sometimes ease up on so much tapestry and go more toward statements or foundations or specimen plants. It just, you know, we just kind of follow the vibe of the garden. We follow the wishes of the client and act accordingly. So yes, right now we are good to go for another year. There is not a thing that I would have done differently here. Everything is exactly as I would want it to be. We did add some rock. We added some, oops, we forgot to rinse this barkwood off. See, look how dirty this rock is. It's so filthy. It doesn't even look the same, but it just needs a little water. I did thin out the petalanthus a little bit, so I'm really happy with the way this looks. We treated everything with bare tree and shrub because alomite has been an issue in this garden. it's just difficult. You know how it is with the alomite. So once a year, you know, as long as nothing is blooming, we're pretty safe to protect our pollinators and treat the plants, water the product in, and hope that we're able to get ahead of any infestation. So yeah, that's that. We have another maintenance tomorrow in Bonita. This is one that they have neglected to have me come. So this is going to be a big, almost a renovation. So all my clients, you're watching this, I can't encourage you enough to do have me out once a year with the team. You want to protect your investment, and we can keep it looking like this forever and ever with just a few hours once a year. This has been Laura Eubanks with Team DFS reporting from Carlsbad with your succulent tip of the day. Bye, guys.